Hi everybody, my name is Hunter Martin. I'm an undergraduate student at the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. You may know me from sitting within a 25-foot radius of me in our Intro to Cultural Studies class, or you may have happened upon this video by falling down a rabbit hole in YouTube in the midst of a knowledge binge. Regardless of how we found each other, my goal is to inform you about the late renowned philosopher, anthropologist, and cultivator of intellectual thought, Pierre Bourdieu, as well as three of his key theoretical cultural concepts. First off, let's learn a little bit about Mr. Bourdieu. On August 1st, 1930, Pierre Félix Bourdieu was born in a small Pyrenees commune in the south of France called Digne. The son of a postal worker, Pierre was born into a lower middle-class family. Regarding his childhood, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. We know very little about Bourdieu's childhood. This is no accident. Bourdieu made great efforts throughout his academic career to conceal as much information as possible about his upbringing. Admittedly, Bourdieu feared that if his competitors knew too much about him, they could use this information to discredit his theories and undermine his position. While this may seem a bit eccentric, that was Bourdieu. Suspicious, paranoid, but brilliant. And his guarded nature will start to make a lot more sense when we reveal his key concepts. What we do know was that he studied alongside Louis Althusser at the École Normale Supérieure in Paris. He was later conscripted into the French army for a year. Bourdieu reportedly declined acceptance into the army's officer program, stating that he preferred to be among people more relative to his own social class. After his military service, Bourdieu remained in Algeria, where he performed extensive ethnographic and anthropological research that he formulated into his highly regarded book, Outline of a Theory of Practice. This work launched Pierre into Europe's intellectual elite. He spent the rest of his life teaching and performing research in many of Europe's finest academic institutions. His theories and concepts would come to have a profound and lasting effect on the fields of sociology, anthropology, and cultural studies. Pierre Bourdieu died of cancer at the age of 71 in Paris. Now that we are acquainted with Monsieur Bourdieu, let's take a look at three of his key theoretical concepts: species of capital, field, and habitus. We will approach these topics individually, starting with species of capital. For our purpose, we will define capital as the resources wielded by agents in specific spheres of human interaction. Bourdieu catalogs species of capital into four types. Social capital. These are the resources bestowed on those who are a member of a specific group. Members of these groups receive support from their peer members based on networking and proximity. Cultural capital. These are the resources that are earned by an individual through learned experience in a particular field. More on fields momentarily. This accumulated information allows said individual to succeed within the cultural structures of the designated field, more so than those who possess a different set of information. Economic capital. These are the resources afforded to those who possess access to money or economic assets. Symbolic capital. These are resources available to those who inhabit social positions that derive their power from a basis of honor or respect. Our next concept is field. Bourdieu describes field as a system of social positions based on structure and power relationships. Those inhabiting these fields wield appropriate species of capital in order to elevate themselves within the field and increase their likelihood of success in social interactions. These fields are governed by individual social structures that their inhabitants must adhere to avoid social distress. Power relations within and between these fields structure the dynamic of human relations. Those operating in fields in which they are not equipped with the correct type or sufficient amount of capital suffer the discomfort of social distress. This condition can be best illustrated by a fish out of water. Now indulge me for a moment in a quick and painless sports metaphor. Imagine we have two players on a football field. One on offense, the other on defense. Each of these players possess the sufficient type and amount of capital in their particular fields to navigate the pre-existing governing structures. This would practically manifest itself as each player performing well at their given position. Now, if the offensive player attempts to play defense, therein inhabiting a field in which he does not possess the appropriate capital, the result is a displeasing outcome for all involved. Now that I've gotten that out of my system, we may move on to our final concept. Habitus. A habitus is an internalized embodiment of the social structures that govern an individual when they are inhabiting a particular field. Familiarity with the habitus that governs the social field that an individual inhabits allows them to navigate the structures of the field reflexively and fluidly. The structures that govern the habitus are culturally created and individually internalized. This gives way to some interesting notions about power and domination, and suggests that all who are dominated are in some ways a party to their domination. Bourdieu does concede that humans are not fools and will not blindly adhere to the structures of the habitus. Doing so poses a direct threat to the individual. The confluence of all of these ideas have forever anointed Pierre Bourdieu as a pioneer in the fields of science, sociology, anthropology, and of course, cultural studies. I will now close this presentation with an original song about the governing structures of the habitus. Just kidding. I hope this video proves useful to you and that it leaves you no worse for the wear. Thank you for listening.